So tell me about your mom's side of the family vis-a-vis the genocide.
Okay. My name is James Gazarian. My mother's name was Armenuhi. And my mother's side, my grandfather was Abraham Khitarian. And her mom's name was Elmast Mkhitarian. Elmast means diamond. Now, my grandfather's father had a shoe factory in Bitlis, And later on, when he got older, he turned over the place to my grandfather, Abraham. My great father's father was very active at the Protestant church in Bitlis. And he was one of the elders of the church over there in Bitlis. My grandfather used to tell me that they lived in a section of the city called Zaburgor. And later on, when I went to Bitlis and a young Turk showed up, he was asking us who we were and so on. So when he asked me those questions, I said, well, I'm from America. And then I turned around and asked him, I said, do you know where Zaburgor section is of Bitlis? The guy's eyes popped up and he says, where did you get that name from? Where did you learn that name? Well, I said, forget about that. Where is it? So he pointed opposite side of Bitlis, and he says, that section that you see there, that's the Zaburgor. And I was with Armen Aroyan's group. Armen was there at that time. Armen made a remark about the guy and says, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. They say, that, yeah, here it is, there it is, but they really don't know where it's at. So the guy sort of reprimanded Armen. He said to him, sir, I know what I'm talking about. I live there. I live in Zaburgor. So after Armen was convinced that, well, yeah, he was telling the truth, he wanted to take me to that section. Armen wanted our group to go there. We did. Now that's a different story. One section of the street were houses ruined and things like that. The other side was a better condition. But then there was one house there when I was there a few years back. That house, on the facades of the house, big house, was inscribed, or big Armenian letters. They had indicated when it was built in Armenian letters, and then in Arabic, and then in the Roman. And it turned out that it was built in 1908 or something. So when the Armenians were still there. Because it's very interesting, the numbers, the date that was on the facades of that house was similar to the one that we saw in the Armenian Orthodox Church in the Bazaar area, again with the same type of inscriptions in different forms, indicating when that church was built. And I believe it was 1880 or something like that. Now, my grandfather told me that one day there was the Muslim cantor getting up on the minaret and making special remarks and things like that. And it turned out that they were planning on killing the Armenians on that day within certain hours. I think the mayor of that city would take his watch and say, all right, from 6 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock in the morning, any Armenian you see, you have to kill him. And it happened that my grandfather got the inkling of what was going on, so he told his dad, get ready, we're leaving, we're closing the shop, and we're going home right now. And so his father was sort of dilly-dallying, but he pushed him and says, we have to leave right now. And so they left, they closed the shop, they went to their homes. And during that certain hours, so many Armenians were killed and butchered, really. And they were all right because that was the government's order. So the following day, when everything calmed down, my grandfather and his dad went to the shop as if, everything was normal. And they met some Turks. They said, where is Mkhitar? Where is Mkhitar? Where was Mkhitar? We were looking for him. Why? Because he was on the list and they were to kill him. And so that way, my grandfather and his dad, they were spared. They didn't go through all that jazz. So, my grandmother's side, she had come from a family very wealthy. They had hundreds of acres of land and hundreds of Turks and Kurds working for them. All they had to do was to sit on their horses in the morning, go around and see if the Turks and the Kurds were doing their work that they were supposed to do. One of their brothers had gotten fed up with the Turkish atmosphere. He decided to come to United States. And he came to United States and settled in Fresno. And so he would write to his brothers, you should leave everything there and get out of the country and come to America, come to Fresno. And they would write back saying, all right, you're in the United States, what are you doing? He says, I'm a farmer. I have vineyard and I'm a farmer. And so they laughed at him saying, we should leave this, this honor that those people give us and come to Fresno and be a farmer. So they refused to come. They refused to listen to him. And the upshot was 70 people, 70 people from my grandmother's family were butchered, and they were all killed. And none of them was saved except one of their brothers who had come to Fresno before. That's the story of my grandfather's side in a nutshell. My father's grandfather's side was there. They had a hardware store, and they would bring stuff from Istanbul and sell it in Sivri Hisar. Sivri Hisar is between Ankara and, I believe, Yozgat or something. They were driven out. They had to leave the country, and they barely escaped, came to Lebanon. And that's where I was born.